now we're going to go into some of these unique coverages that garage forms have. We're going to go over the general liability coverage, garage keepers coverage, dealer's physical damage coverage, and other coverages. So take it away, Teresa.
All right, now we're getting into the meat and potatoes here of the application. Garage liability. What is garage liability? It's general liability for a garage operation. So they call it garage liability. So I just need to know what limits they're looking for, and we have to offer garage liability. We can't just offer garage keepers or dealer's physical damage. Those coverages need to be accompanied by garage liability. So please put a limit in here for me. We have several deductible options, and then we're getting into our med pay. Garage operations would be their garage location, so they can have medical payments for their garage location. And they can also have the option of having auto med pay. So if they have that scheduled auto, or if they have furnace drivers, they may want to look into getting that auto medical payment in case anybody's injured. UM coverage, I think we're all pretty familiar with that. You can put your limit in there. Next to that is PIP, which is personal injury protection. Not every state has this. I know we don't offer that here in California, but places like Oregon, Colorado, you can go ahead and add on that PIP coverage. Right underneath that is your additional insured, so it could be your landlord. Maybe it's a repair shop that's getting referrals from somebody, and they need to be added as an AI. You can put all those AI requests on those lines. Right below that is your garage keepers. What is garage keepers? Garage keepers is coverage for your customers' vehicles while they're in your care, custody, and control. So this would be for your repair shop, or it could even be for your dealership that is test driving customer vehicles, because maybe they're going to buy that car off of the customer. So this section is definitely important for your repair shops, so they can get coverage for their customers' vehicle while they're repairing it, while it's there overnight. There's a couple of different types of coverages you can get. Legal liability and direct primary. Legal liability is only insuring the vehicle if your client is negligent for the damages caused to that vehicle. So let's say a mechanic puts the customer's vehicle on the lift. They didn't do it right, and it causes damage to the vehicle. Maybe the vehicle falls off the lift. Our customer is going to be legally liable for that vehicle that fell off the lift. But let's say a vehicle is left overnight and it gets vandalized. Our customer wasn't legally liable because the car got vandalized. It happened overnight when he wasn't there. If you have legal liability coverage, guess what? There's not going to be any coverage for that vandalism. But if your customer were to have direct primary, that's the most broad coverage you can have, because any damage that is caused to the client's vehicle while it's in their care, custody, and control is going to have coverage. So please pick which type of coverage they're looking for. Legal liability obviously is going to have a less of a charge than direct primary, because direct primary is the broader of the two. But at the end of the day, it's probably worth that extra $50 to $100 to get the direct primary. And then we have different causes of loss, specified cause of loss with collision or comprehensive. There is no price difference for either of these. Comprehensive with collision is the broader coverage, so that's really the only one I ever see picked. Then we go into the different types of deductibles that are offered. And then the last two lines I want to bring to your attention, the in-transit limit, which is also referred to as on-hook coverage. These are going to be for any type of towing exposure that your client may have. So we're going to need to know, how many tow trucks do they have? How many vehicles can each of the tow trucks carry at one time? And the per auto limit is going to equal the garage keeper's maximum value limit. So everything stays in line there. And now we're going to the dealership side. So, how much coverage do we need for all the vehicles on the lot? What's the average vehicle, average value vehicle? What's the maximum value of the vehicle? And then, if you add it all together, what are we getting for that total limit? The causes of loss are basically the same as on the repair shop side. You have the specified cause, comprehensive, which is the most common one people choose, and then you have the very basic fire and theft. You have the same types of deductible options as you do on the repair shop side, and then we get into any lost payees. A lot of dealerships need to be on the floor plan because they can't afford to own all these vehicles outright, so they finance them. And this is where we would add the lost payee on. And then the last question here is the drive-away miles. Again, how far are these people traveling to the auctions? If it's more than 300 miles, please let me know. If it's 500, 1,000, anything over 1,000, we would get into the unlimited. And the additional coverages. I like to say these are a la carte coverages. It's things like personal and advertising injury, damage to premises rented, which also known as fire legal. This is where all those extra coverages are going to be available for your client. We went over registration plates a few slides ago. If you have any questions on that, let me know. So hopefully that slide will help. It has a pretty good definition and examples on there. False pretense. That is something that your dealership may want to have coverage for. I've definitely seen a couple of claims cross my desk in regards to false pretense. It's a trickery or scheme coverage. It's when someone causes a dealership to part ways with the vehicle by trickery. So let's say they give you a fraudulent money order, or you let them do a test drive by themselves, which, this day and age with COVID, that's probably happening a lot more because no one wants somebody else in the vehicle with them. So, you let them test drive the car and then they never come back. So this is how you can get coverage for that. And obviously there is some underwriting criteria. If you state on the application that they are doing an accompanied test drive, you're not going to be eligible for false pretense coverage. There has to be, there has to be some guidelines in place in order for the applicant to be eligible for false pretense. Personal injury liability is your, like on your general liability, it's just personal and advertising injury coverage. Damage to premises rented is your fire legal, and you can have those two. You can have personal and advertising injury and damage to premises liability bundled up, and that's called broadened coverage. Usually it's cheaper just to get the broadened coverage rather than only selecting damage to premises rented or personal and advertising injury. And then we get into drive other car coverage. What is that? That is a dealership type of coverage, and it's when you're, let's say you're going to an auction and you need to rent a car, or you need to borrow a vehicle to go do something, and that's when this coverage is going to come into play. Instead of purchasing the coverage from, the rental place, you can just add on drive other car coverage and it'll cover you for your liability, your uninsured motorist, and your physical damage. Errors and omission coverage is available for your dealership risks, and it actually lists out the coverages available under the errors and omissions. You have the federal odometer, truth in lending, and your title coverage. It's only $150 if they want to add on those E&O coverages. And we can also add property to the garage policy. Typically not heavy on property under the garage program, but we can definitely offer building, business, personal property, business income. We can even add inland marine if needed. So that's definitely something that we can accommodate on the garage policies.